All right, Benji, it's your turn.
Turning the tables.
Turn the tables. The Center for Play and Exploration does divergent thinking coaching and training, because I guess training resonates with me a little more because of this, well, not just belief, this idea, this reality that it's a muscle. So people that are not watching this can't see, but if you can imagine just literally extending your arm, bringing it up at the elbow, having your hand flat on a table and lifting your fingers one at a time off the surface of the table, it's literally that muscular, which I think is wonderful, just delightful, right? That it's, again, not this endowed gift that some people have and some people don't. It's a muscle that you either work out or you don't. And to the extent that you work it out, it'll respond. Yeah. And this divergent thinking muscle, when working well, responds with by turning down shame and fear of failure, and thereby letting you come up with new ideas and come up with, oh, I guess I could try this, or we could try this, or this might help, or what if we... So you want to try some of that?
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's do it this way. Do you have sort of an area that you feel stuck in that you can articulate to me? Like, I feel stuck in this way or in these situations, or this would be helpful if I could kind of move past that.
So I have a couple, but the one that came to mind is around passive aggression. So I don't know how deep you want me to go into like a scenario.
When do you feel like you passive aggressive all the time? Are you being passive aggressive to me right now? Or is there
no?
What scenarios?
We could go deep on this, but I'll give you like a situation. So in the last couple of weeks at home, like with my wife, so we have an 18-month-old, and there's things that you talk about with your with your wife before you're in a situation, and then there's stuff that just like shows up because you're raising a kid together. Sure. And so within the last couple of weeks, there was a situation where I think she was either giving him another snack, and I felt like, why are we giving him another snack? Or it was like unhealthy in my mind. It wasn't like good, nutritious food. And sure. Instead of coming at it from like a straightforward, hey, I don't think we should do X, it was passive aggressive. It was like either I just like, why are we doing that? Or take the snack. Or so there's a lot of places that, that potentially stems from, but I'm curious on changing that behavior because I think it shows up in other areas too. Because I don't want to offend people, I wait until it like gets too much where like it would start maybe an argument, and then I get passive aggressive, which then like, especially in a marriage, causes this weird cycle of non-fighting, but fighting.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. That makes sense. Can you be more specific? So one way we could try this is, I want to come up with other possible ways to not be passive aggressive. Mm-hmm. That's pretty vague. Mm-hmm. And there's a double negative in there too, mm-hmm. right? So, do you want to be specific about a situation and talking with your wife about snacks for your child? Do you want to go that specific there in that scenario? Because you could pick not being passive aggressive in literally countless scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, there is other ones with like work or whatever, but since that one is from the last couple of weeks, let's just use that and see where it goes.
Okay, so in the scenario of snacks and meals with your son.
Yep.
And then passive aggressive, or just like ways, it sounds like you want to be creative or more divergent, get better ideas about how you communicate.
I think it's communication, and I think it's also like, passive aggressive being negative. Yeah. There's the opposite of that, which is like, how do I cultivate the types of conversations in my marriage, which this then flows into work, profession, whatever, where it's like being proactive in communication and conversation that leans us into like a healthier way of doing things, right? So like around the snacks, I think we're kind of touching on, like, I have in my mind what the healthier version is, but I'm not saying it for whatever reason.
Right. And then she's guessing, but she knows what you mean, and then you're just, there you go again, mm-hmm. right? So how about this? I want to exercise my divergent thinking muscle to help me come up with possible ways to communicate. And then you put it in your words. What about your son's meals and snacks? Different ways to communicate.
Different ways to communicate what raising a healthy son looks like.
Oh, particularly around food.
Or particularly around food.
That's too general again.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah. Let's just do food.
What raising
a healthy son around food looks like.
Yeah, looks like around food or
Yeah.
Ways to communicate raising a healthy child when it comes to food.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's the thing we're going to work on. And then for people listening and for you too, the more specific you can get, the better, right? Because you can imagine another scenario. What are possible ways to be kinder?
Right.
To be more
It's
kind.
endless.
You're like, oh, okay. And that still, the muscle's going to get exercised, but it's so vague and so like the sandbox is so huge that you can get lost in it more easily. And this is a really cool thing about divergent thinking and creativity. The more restricted it is, the more boundaries you put on it, counterintuitively, actually the more is generated. So fashion people talking about scenarios where I have one item that I have to incorporate in my outfit for the next 30 days. I must wear some form of this black dress or these shoes have to be a part of it. You're putting something around it so that you can kind of ping versus just the universe is limitless and endless. It can just get overwhelming. Still using the same muscle. But this, if you're okay with this, and this will be, people, again, might have to fast forward this, but to prime the pump here, the exercise of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Are you familiar with this?
Tell me more.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is actually really helpful, and I think was primarily used to help people feel less anxious. So for fighting anxiety or kind of centering yourself. But 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is also super helpful for priming the pump for divergent thinking. Because it raises awareness. You're just kind of heightened. Your curiosity, your radar is kind of like humming already. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Identifying 5 things that you can see, and then 4 things that you can see, and then 3 down to 1. And we'll do C because we are in a almost soundproof studio right now. And you normally it's what you can hear. And just for kicks, we'll do that too. But you can start thinking out loud about, oh my gosh, 5 distinct sounds. If you're in a library or at home or in your car, and then 4 more distinct sounds. Yes, you're understanding the assignment correctly. And it can seem daunting or impossible to do that, but maybe you can ... and see if I'm listening for whatever that is, 20, 25 distinct sounds where I am. Wherever I happen to be, it's heightened awareness, right? Like you're in, like you're aware of your surroundings. So the visual, the sight thing will be fairly easy. So for the sight one, let's just do it out loud. So start with 5 and then 4 different things that you see, and you can be as nuanced as you want. Ready?
Yeah. So I see bolts on the truss above us.
1.
See these white lights, balloons hanging above us.
3.
There's a cable that's plugged into the camera right there.
4.
I see you, Dave, on the screen behind me telling us how long we've been recording.
5.
I see a
4 more.
mirror in the room there.
1.
A plant.
2.
And a stool.
3.
And I see a coffee table
4.
behind us.
3 more if you can.
Yep. My notes
1.
right here. The lid to your awesome thermos.
2.
And the microphone right in front of me.
Good.
And the Wi-Fi password.
Good. And you just go on down to 1 and however long you want to do it. So now just for kicks, like don't say these out loud. So you might have to fast forward this listening. But when I say go, try the things you can hear. And just for people listening to this, we're in a studio.
I was doing it while you were even explaining what it was, and I was like,
trying to get ahead.
Your voice,
you old rattlesnake,
your breath, my chair.
Well, yeah, exactly, exactly. I'm like, oh, that's the universe. Yeah. So when I say go, just try it. 5 and then 4, but don't say them out loud. Like write them down. Okay, ready?
Okay, I got 4.
Oh, nice. What are they?
Right as soon as you said don't say them out loud, write them down, the chair creaked. So it got lucky with that one.
Yeah.
My writing, as soon as because I was writing chair and then writing, your lips slightly moved. That's how quiet it is in here. And
My
then I
dry
said
mouth.
my breath was the last one.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's actually great to do it in a quiet place, like a library or your home or something. Because when you're on like sound 11, 12, 13, you're hearing things like your own breath or your lips coming apart or ringing in your ears or a vent coming on somewhere. You're pretty like heightened, right? And aware. So it's really helpful for divergent thinking prep, and it's also great for fighting anxiety. If you're feeling anxious, it really helps center. Okay, so do you know what the word horripilation means?
No idea.
HORRIPILATION. Horripilation. Because if you know what it means, we have to find another word.
I've never heard this word before.
So we are going to, and here's the assignment. Now that we don't know what horripilation means, define it. And let your brain kind of feel the weirdness of that. But we're going to go back and forth. We have not practiced this before. Horripilation. What might horripilation be or mean?
You want me to go?
Yeah.
A ripple of horror that strikes a community.
Absolutely. A ripple of horror. Horripilation is the process of a bug molting its skin.
Fascinating. Horripilation is a tear in the Earth's core underneath the ocean.
Horripilation is the counting technique for the countdown to when a podcast starts. The 5, 4, 3, but it's not that simple. It's like a cool podcast way to count down so they know when to start the episode.
Horripilation is the newest trend in women's hair.
Oh.
It's like this new hairstyle that they're using.
Horripilation is the scientific explanation for when a car's tires squeal. It can't grip the wheel. The wheel can't grip the road. Tire can't grip the road. That's horripilation. It's trying to grip it.
Horripilation is what happens when you can't think of the next thing to say, and then you stay silent for longer, and you just ruminate on it.
Horripilation is the spiking of audio waves in a microphone. Like if I were to yell all of a sudden and it would redline the audio, that's horripilation.
Horripilation is a not so common part that gets broken in your dryer. And when the horripilation happens, the dryer's toast.
What are synonyms for the word angry? Come up with a couple synonyms for the word angry.
Mad.
Do like 3 or 4.
Frustrated. Defiant.
Do one more. That's good.
Mean.
And then how about a different emotion? How about joy? What are some synonyms for joy?
Happy. Light. Excited.
One more.
Fun.
Can you identify all the different parts of the job, even if you haven't had this job? The process or the task of building a skyscraper. What are parts of that work, parts of that job that somebody has to do or pay attention to?
Yeah, you gotta find the land that you're gonna build this skyscraper on. Then you need to probably get zoning done. You gotta lay out what that building is going to look like,
Mhm.
the design, the architecture, get the plans laid out. You're going to need to collect materials. You're going to need to hire workers. And then you start construction, so build into the earth for lay the foundation.
Mhm.
And then, keep construct upward.
Good. Yeah. If you were to go about hiring workers for that process in an excited way, what would that look like? How would you hire construction workers excitedly?
Wow, what a specific question there.
And a pause. Can I give an input? Try as best as you can with these next couple of questions to not critique what you're thinking and just say it. Okay. So what we're doing is as I'm asking these, you internally, and me too, and your listeners are starting to critique and bat away, like, well, that's
bad idea.
Bad idea. That one's not going to work. Yep. That's silly. That's not cool. So as best as you can, even if it's like, oh, it's just ridiculous or it's not a good one, just try to go with it.
Yeah, the first thing that I thought of was just being at a job fair.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the smiliest person at the job fair, like you were just pumped about the fact that you are building this skyscraper.
Yeah,
that's how you show up.
Okay.
Imagine, I don't know where potential construction workers hang out, but I'm imagining maybe you are like you wear some weird mascot costume and you stand outside the bar where they all hang out, and I'm gonna recruit some construction guys to come work here. If you're that excited about it, maybe you're offering more money or better hours or something that's like enticing because you really want to get these the best of these workers. Hiring construction workers in an excited way. Maybe you're so excited about it, you go to other skyscrapers that are being built and you try to snipe some of the workers from that one to yours.
People.
It's like, hey, I'm more excited about this project than you are about yours. Just come work with me.
Just poach them. Absolutely, that is a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
How would you go about designing a skyscraper in a defiant way? You're sitting down to architecturally design and draw up the plans for a skyscraper. How would you do that if you were defiant?
So defiant makes me think you're probably like hyper individualistic, maybe. Mm-hmm. So that would mean like if I sit down and I'm drawing the plans for the skyscraper, whatever I draw is what's going to be created. Mm-hmm. So I don't go get a second opinion. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, this design looks cool, even though it won't structurally hold up at all. But this is what we're building. Mm-hmm. Defiant would be somebody who's helping us build it comes to me with like, can't do it this way. And I'm just like, nope, we're doing it that way. Yep. I'm disobeying zoning laws. Yep. I am frustrating my workers because I'm defiant that we're going to get it done quick.
Yep. Good. I'm throwing lots of things at you.
Yeah, it's good.
How you doing? You okay?
Oh yeah, I will say this. I don't know if I'm patting myself on the back slightly because I think a different. If you went back a few years, I was so afraid of being wrong. Huh. I don't. It's weird. I feel very different. Not that it's completely gone because I totally resonate with what you're saying. Where it's like that doesn't seem like a good enough idea to say out loud. Yeah. But it's quieter than it used to be.
Huh. The shame voice.
Yeah.
Critique.
Yeah.
Inner critic.
Mm-hmm.
It's quieter.
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. It's
so
cool.
Good. Do you know what pretty clearly and directly what that voice sounds like? What it says, accent, where you hear it
more clearly than I don't mean it's so hard, right? Because you only have your experience, but way clearer than a few years ago.
I asked that in a vague way. Do you know when you're hearing it?
Yeah, most of the time.
How do you know that? Just can I ask, or It's just,
Now I know it more because I have tried through a lot of work to disassociate from it. Like, oh, that's not actually you. That's, you can name it whatever. For me, a lot of times I think of like past history of idea being shut down or family tradition or whatever it is. And the value of pushing past it. I think something in that too, where it's like, oh, what's the best creative projects I've ever been a part of? It's when someone threw spaghetti at the wall. They just were like, I'm just gonna, and like you repeat that enough times where it's like, this might sound stupid, but also like, don't you like one of my best friends always shares the funny dumb idea or like revels in being stuck in awkward situations, and I am not like that. But those are all the memories that we have.
Yeah. So you have like a track record?
Yeah, the track record, the mental model of like, oh, this seems scary now, but in retrospect, the unlocks that happen from these moments are the things you actually remember.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. And the fact that you're aware of and articulating this is double, triple power workouts for divergent thinking. So most of us, you've done work on this, but most of us, when asked about, what are some possible ways that you could, or what are some synonyms for these, or write down all the words that come, there's just a paralysis that can set in because of a largely unknown voice or feeling that overcomes us of basically shame, right? Of, I don't want to get this wrong, or I'm not doing this as well as anyone else, down to especially, this is why we're kind of zeroing in on professional, on work, on like relationships, especially when the stakes are high, right?
Can I just share something?
Do it.
I just had such a specific moment trigger in my head to say, me too. I was at a conference with my friends, Abby and Carrie. This is so random. I haven't talked to them in so long. We were in the lobby of Willow Creek, one of the biggest churches in America. And I remember them starting to dance jokingly because they knew it would embarrass me. And it just like, that's the immediate image I got, because I'm like, I was so embarrassed of like them dancing in public, being socially, whatever it was like, this isn't socially acceptable at this moment. And they knew they could do it to embarrass me. And they were doing it in like a loving, it wasn't like an actual, trying to embarrass me moment. But I can so register with what you're saying, because it was like secondhand embarrassment in that, or like, I didn't want to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, it's great. I think images like that and memories like that are really rich for, again, showing all my cards, not being coy about this. What we're doing is getting more and more comfortable with guessing and being wrong, right? The divergent thinking muscle operates well or operates poorly almost exclusively on how loud shame is, right? So the center works with people to just do workouts again and again and again, just like you're training for a marathon, to get more and more comfortable with guessing. And how about this? What about that? What does this mean? Guessing at a word definition that you don't know is simultaneously recognizing something that you're ignorant of. I have no idea, so I'm going to guess. Like that's a behind the scenes operator for the boardroom scene, where it's like, we are going bankrupt. If we don't solve this, everybody goes home without benefits or pay. It's the same muscle on different extremes, on different magnitudes. Does that make sense? Yes. Like in one, shame is very low, like it's like a little bit in my own head. And the other one is like me, my family, my livelihood, my reputation, and everything in between. So just kind of pulling the curtain back, that's some of what we're doing here. Yeah. And again, sort of the non-dramatic, non-romantic, not flashy sexiness of this is just the repetition of doing these kinds of exercises with your team and on your own over and over and over again, so that when the moment of high stake comes, you're ready. Yeah. Could we do this? Could we do that? You just need kind of a direction and some nuance and some boundary, and off you go. And almost unbeknownst to you, or you don't really care when this is really humming, like a ripped divergent thinking muscle, like George Washington Carver, you plop him down anywhere and you're like, George, how many different ways could we, and he's off. And it's not because he has a gift that you don't have. He works out.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
I just think that's wonderful news. We can get better and better at it. How would you tell your wife that you want your son to eat healthier snacks if you're standing outside a bar where construction workers work and you're wearing a mascot costume? What would you say to her? You want to communicate.
I feel like I would have to shout it because I'd be shouting through this mascot costume.
Yeah, so it'd be loud and you'd shout, but not because you're angry.
Yeah, just because she needs to hear it.
Yeah.
Maybe we would be able to do it maybe it would come off more jokingly just because of the setting.
Almost for sure.
Yeah. The word that I don't want to say, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, like internally, it's just like direct. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's because it seems partially like assumed or something in my head, but like it would be more direct because you can't have a long conversation through a mascot costume. But also I think that's just like to get to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be faster, more direct, and louder. If you're doing that. What if you're at home in your kitchen where you always have this conversation and you communicate to her that you want to raise a healthier son when it comes to food, but you did it in a defiant way? How would you say it? What words would you use, or maybe what sentences defiantly?
It feels like her what I'm doing when I am being what was passive aggressive? Yeah, we've been recording a long time. Mm-hmm. When I'm being passive aggressive, I am being defiant.
Oh,
because that is from when I was a kid. Like this is something I'm currently unpacking. Is anger was not something to show. Mm-hmm. So passive aggressive was my way to be defiant. Yeah. So the tone of that one comes across like I know what it sounds. It sounds like the situation I described.
You're already
where it's
doing
like that. Yes, I am being defiant to the decision she's making by not making my own decision. And like starting, like I didn't make the snack. She, you know what I mean? But then I have judgment that I cast on the way, like, oh, you gave him too much, or oh, so I'm being defiant by basically I have my own take on it, my own opinion on it, and then I don't say it or do anything because I don't want to rock the boat until she's doing something that in my head, which I have not communicated, I'm like judging her for doing.
Mm-hmm. So passive aggressive and defiant are like synonyms.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a different one. Well, how would you communicate to your wife that you want to raise a healthier son around food and snack choices? You're excited.
It would not happen in the moment that I'm triggered. It would happen like when she's in a good mood.
You'd wait till she was excited?
Yes.
For you to be excited, you wait for her to be excited.
Not always, but like if the point is that we like you can, I know when a better time to bring up something like that is, and it's also you want the positive side of that conversation.
Sure. Yeah. So let's say
it's a proactive conversation.
Yeah.
And it's happening at a time when we're not stressed about a crying baby.
Yeah.
And it's I think the proactive part is probably the biggest part of it.
Oh, interesting. So two possible ways you just identified if you were writing this down or keeping a list of different ways to communicate.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just in it. I'm not even taking notes.
That's fine. Two ways just right there is wait until the time is right.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than, or is the time right when the snack is being chosen? That's a real question. Is that the right time, or is it more stressful or more?
Well, probably not. It's almost like it just needs to happen sooner. There's probably a number of these things, but like sooner and more proactively than like we're in the moment and now we're debating whether this is the right move.
Right. So as you get better and better at this and working with folks over time, there's all these buckets of good, right? All these categories. So and you just start listing all these. One, let's just talk about the time, the literal time of day during which to tell your wife, I want to raise a healthier son when it comes to food. You could do it at 4:15 p.m., midnight, at 6:30 in the morning. You could do it at a meal. You could pick one of the meals. You could do it at a snack time between meals. You could do it at church. You could do it at, see, and you just all of those.
Yep.
And then you could do when different kinds of things are going on in her life. So she's having a great day, a bad day, a mediocre day. She just lost a loved one. She was hired for a job. She just finished a book. She's watching a show. She's got a pet that she just hired.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you have a list of 32 lists of 30 things.
Mm-hmm.
And then pick another bucket of good. So you pick one. What's another category? Literally anything around you guys.
Did you say location?
No, I did not.
Okay.
So location. Can you come up with 7 different locations at which this conversation might happen?
Yeah, at ice cream in Texas, at our in-laws' house, in a swimming pool, on our vacation in Mexico, after Brooks goes to sleep, before Brooks wakes up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you could do like 10 more of those if you really devoted time to it, right? So then what you have is you have 3 buckets, let's say location, time, and what your wife's day is like. And you could even define that like emotional, mental, spiritual energy from your wife. You could do the same for you. And then you start doing something called brute thinking, which is a form of divergent thinking, where you take seemingly disparate things and find a connection between them, right? What does chocolate have to do with a muscle car? You know, and you're like, and so you fart around a little bit and your brain's like, don't say that, that's stupid. But after you work out for a while, you're like, well, they can both be smooth, you know? There's different shades of color to them. They're sourced differently from around the world, you know, so you just start going. So I could ask now, then you're in a position at that stage of divergent thinking workouts. How might I communicate to my wife that I wish we were picking healthier snacks? If she's had an awful day, it's 1:00 in the morning, we're in a swimming pool, and what was the other one? Time of day, location, her emotional state.
I don't know what the fourth one is,
we'll
but still, you're like 4 deep into. Yeah.
So literally.
So so like, and even from that place, what you're saying is no wrong answer. It's still just a divergent thinking exercise.
Divergent thinking is
that's
not
a horrible time, and she's in a bad mood. So I would.
Would you either completely sugarcoat it and almost lie to make it be heard,
right?
Or would you just embrace like, what a crappy this? I'm just so angry. Like, let's talk about this later. I don't think
it would be. Well, talk about it later, maybe.
Yeah, this is an awful time to talk about this.
If it's that time and she's in a bad mood, it's probably a talk about it later or try to not bring it up. But if I had to address it, it would probably be very slow.
So then you pick like a more ideal one. But see that when you have those, let's say those 3 lists of 30 things, you can do a generator that randomly picks them, or you can close your eyes and put your finger down. And you have to play with those 3 that it gave you.
Yep.
And then
that's good.
At the end of that, you'll have at least 10, if not 15, 20, 25 different things and different ways that you might say those things to your wife about your son and their food. And then all of a sudden, looking at this piece of paper, you've got options. And then you can start to nuance like, well, which one do I like? And which one do I think will go better? Or then it really starts to get fun or interesting or maybe generative, where you're like, wait a minute, why am I doing all this kind of secretively? What if I just told her? Like, I was laughing about this the other day. Like, can you imagine if we tried to have this conversation at midnight and, you know, we both were sick and we were in an empty swimming pool and, you know, you kind of laugh about that, or she looks at you like you're crazy or whatever. But I realized just what an awful time that would be to talk about it. And I wonder if some of your frustration with me is I usually pick really awful times to do this. And so when's the best time, even though we're probably going to disagree, when would be a good time for us to talk about this? It's just a different spin than the knee jerk fight or flight. And it just goes from there. So hopefully a small example, and again, you can do this for weeks and months, and I would encourage you and listeners to make this like a practice, you know, to do sort of pages of sorts, or give yourself scenarios or strange words to define, or flow state exercises, multi-use tests. Like, we didn't do any of those, but all of those are practicing guessing at something and learning over time both what your critic voice sounds like
Yeah.
and how to turn it gradually down where you're just getting to the point of we could just try all these things. Who cares if they work or not yet? That's not where we are yet.
Yep. ...
To when the stakes are very high and it's not just a seemingly frivolous exercise, like skin is in the game, like your child's health is on the line, or your job is on the line, or your marriage is on the line, or this product reveal is on the line, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, it's the same muscle. It's the same exact muscle that you need in those high stake moments that we were just exercising. Not that that conversation about your son is low stakes. I mean the actual horripilation.
Oh, yeah.
Depth. Like
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Like what are we even doing? It's almost like the stakes are so low, you don't care. You don't care, right? Shame is low. So you want to start there and work your way up.
That's part of, so like starting the process and feeling like, okay, I'm able to better identify that inner voice where it still like comes out. And the test for me constantly is as that scale goes up in importance, right? So like I love the examples you give of like, okay, you're in the boardroom. It's like, if we don't come up with the right idea right now, right? And like, I'm in my own journey of starting my own stuff, being out on my own, all of that. And in those situations, it's way harder to identify the voice of shame so that there is a huge learning curve that like I love the imagery of the muscle, and I just say that from where I currently am. It's like you giving credit for how far I feel like I've come in the last few years, yet simultaneously, specifically in this season, being like, yeah, the voice is still really freaking loud around things that I care about and have a lot of stakes.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
and that's the human condition.
Well said. And starting as early as possible. It's possible to jump into the deep end and make a few strokes, but it's infinitely harder than if you start floating and then you start blowing bubbles and then you start doggy paddling and then you start. The hardware is there, and all of us, we have this muscle. It's just a matter of working.
Thanks, Dave. This was awesome.
Yeah. It's a good word out there. Stay curious.